What if I told you that one man made two inventions that didn't just change the world, they helped destroy it? These inventions killed millions of people, and in the end, they even killed the man who made them. Because of these inventions, many people's lives were ruined, crime increased, human thinking and intelligence started going down, and two societies were almost completely destroyed. So, what were these inventions, and who was the man behind them? Once again, welcome back, dear viewers. Let's go back to the year 1908. The city is Detroit, in the United States. A woman was driving her car when it suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. Cars at that time didn't have buttons to start. They needed a big metal handle in front called a crank. You had to turn it hard with your hands to start the engine. It was very difficult, especially for women. A man saw the lady in trouble. He stopped his car and went to help. He grabbed the crank and turned it with force. The engine started, but then something bad happened. The engine made a loud sound, and the crank handle flew back quickly. It hit the man's jaw very hard. The injury was serious. After a few days, the man died. His name was Baron Quartrell, and he owned a car company. His death shocked the car industry. Many people had been hurt before, but this time, it was different. Something had to be done. His close friend, Henry Leland, owned the Cadillac car company. He was very sad and decided that hand cranks must go. He wanted a car that could start easily, without using hands or dangerous tools. He hired an engineer named Charles Kettering. Charles worked for 3 years. In 1911, he made the world's first car that could start with an electric motor, no crank needed. They named the new model Cadillac 30. It was safer, faster, and more powerful than other cars. It became very popular, and the company's sales went up. But there was one big problem. The engine made a lot of noise. It was so loud that people had to cover their ears. What was causing this? Let me explain in a simple way. Inside a car engine, there's a piston in a metal tube. The spark plug lights the fuel inside. This makes a small explosion, and the piston moves. That's how the engine works. But in the Cadillac 30, the fuel was burning too early, before the spark plug could fire. This is called engine knocking. It made the car loud and wasted a lot of fuel. There were 2 ways to fix it. One way was to make the pistons smaller, but then the electric start wouldn't work. The second way was to change the fuel, make it stronger so it wouldn't burn too early. Different fuels act in different ways. Heptane burns quickly, even without a spark. Octane is better. It can take more pressure and only burns when the spark plug fires. At that time, fuel had only 50% octane. That wasn't enough. So Henry and Charles wanted a new type of fuel, one with a high octane level that wouldn't cause knocking. For this, they hired a 27-year-old engineer named Thomas Migley. Thomas started testing different chemicals to mix with fuel, but nothing worked. For 5 years, he failed. Then, in 1923, he found the answer, a chemical called tetraethyl lead. When he added it to fuel, engine knocking stopped. The fuel worked better, the car drove smoother, and people loved it. They named this new fuel ethyl. It was a big success. A new factory was built to make it on a large scale, but just 2 months after the factory opened, something went wrong. Workers got sick. Some saw strange things. Some became violent. Some died. The reason? Tetraethyl lead was very poisonous. Even Thomas Midgley, the man who invented it, got sick from it. He had created something powerful, but also deadly. And that was only the beginning of the story. Workers at the chemical plant began getting sick. Some of them became seriously ill, and 5 workers even died. People believed the cause was the lead inside the fuel. Lead is a dangerous chemical. Just like calcium, it stays in a person's bones for years. But unlike calcium, it harms the body, especially the brain. It can block the brain's signals and affect how we think and act. The media made a lot of noise about it, but back then, there wasn't any solid proof that the deaths were caused by lead. The amount of lead in the fuel was very small, only 1 drop of lead in about 1,000 drops of fuel. Because of this doubt, Frank Howard, the president of Standard Oil, said, "We can't stop using something that helps thousands of people just because we're unsure about it." So, for the next 50 years, the fuel created by Thomas Midgley continued to be used all over the world. Cars kept releasing lead into the air, and people kept breathing it in. No one realized how much damage it was causing. Then, scientists did a new study in Greenland using advanced tools. What they found was shocking. They tested the ice from 1978 and compared it with ice that was over 2,500 years old. The ice from 1978 had twice as much lead. On the graph, you can clearly see that after the 1950s, the level of lead in the air rose quickly, and in 1978, it reached its highest point. To confirm the results, scientists also tested bones and teeth from people of different time periods. They found that in 1978, the amount of lead in people's bodies was 10 times higher than it had been 2,500 years ago. But what does lead actually do to the body? According to research, lead makes our blood vessels narrow, which makes it harder for blood to flow. This can lead to many health problems, including heart disease. Lead also affects the brain, changing how people think and behave. From 1950 to 1998, the crime rate in the USA kept rising. To find out if lead poisoning was a reason, researchers tested the blood of many criminals. What they found was surprising. Many of them had high levels of lead in their blood, and this wasn't just happening in the USA. Countries like Britain, Canada, and Australia saw the same pattern. A study done in 2008 showed that in the USA alone, around 250,000 people died each year from violence and robbery. That means between 1950 and 1998, 7.5 million people lost their lives in the USA alone. When you think about the whole world, the number is even more terrifying. And all of this started because of the leaded fuel created by Thomas Midgley. But sadly, that wasn't his only mistake. After the success of leaded fuel, Thomas was given a new project. Back then, fridges used two kinds of gases that were both toxic and flammable. He was told to create a gas that was safe and non-flammable. Thomas worked on it and finally made a gas called dichlorodifluoromethane. To show how safe it was, he once inhaled the gas in front of a crowd, then blew it out onto a burning candle, and the flame didn't move. The crowd was impressed, and soon, this gas was used in refrigerators around the world. But once again, a new problem appeared. This gas was lighter than air. When it was released, it floated up into the stratosphere, where it stayed for 50 to 100 years. Once trapped up there, the gas started to destroy the Earth's ozone layer, the very layer that protects us from harmful rays of the sun. The damage it caused still affects us today. With all the evidence now clear, countries around the world started to take action. In 1946, Japan became the first country to ban leaded fuel. They switched to a safer option, and soon, many other countries followed. After this, the level of lead in the atmosphere began to drop. That same graph, which had peaked in 1978, started to come down quickly. Later, when Thomas Midgley's refrigerator gas was also banned, scientists noticed that the ozone layer began to repair itself. Of course, Thomas never knew any of this, but many people believe that no one in history has done more damage to the planet than he did. In 1950, Thomas Midgley died from malaria. I hope you all will like and share this video too. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next amazing video.